I'm Nathan Rice. I live in Brisbane, Australia, as you can probably tell by my charming accent. I started my professional career with an apprenticeship in aircraft maintenance engineering at Qantas, which is actually like Australia's largest airline carrier. Aircraft wasn't really for me. So when I left Qantas, I worked for an engineering company for quite a few years, and I actually worked in industrial space, primarily in sanitary stainless fit outs. So like food and beverage, breweries, pharmaceutical, petrochemical, and places like that. And that was kind of my first introduction to manufacturing, 3D design software, and 3D scanners and all that kind of technology that I sort of use today. Yeah, like I always wanted to sort of be a business owner. So I actually ended up sidetracking for a while, and I ended up getting into the fitness industry. So I owned a health club and bars and restaurants and so forth, which, needless to say, never really works out. But so, then I came back around to steel fabrication, which is sort of where I am today and where my passion is and, what I've been doing ever since.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've done a little sidetracking myself. So, how did IFAB Steel begin?
Well, IFAB Steel originated actually off the back of me selling my health club, to be honest. When I sold my health club, we had a large commercial pool there, and the landlord wanted to build a big steel structure over the pool. So as part of the sale agreement, I actually asked for the contract to build the large steel structure. That's actually how I started. So I signed a lease on a tiny little shed and built this massive structure in there. And, I kind of finished it, and then I had a shed, and I was like, oh, it's time to start getting some work now. And I ended up just doing that. And that's actually how I started the company and just grew on it from there. The shed itself was like literally like 100 square meters. Like I don't even know. I don't know what that is in square feet for you Americans, but it's small. It's like the size of a garage, so to speak. So, I got all these massive steel beams delivered there. I got them in there. I basically just did the whole thing myself, welded it out. It was definitely a pain in the ass, but I
Yeah,
got
what
there.
a story, David. So did you quite literally shear, weld, bolt, and so forth the structure together? Yeah. Wow, it's a fantastic story.
So I just got a guy to help me install the crane. It's a big structure, actually looking back at it now, it was pretty surprising we're able to do it all, just a couple of us. And, obviously just doing all that yourself with barely any overheads whatsoever. I just made a big chunk of cash from it and yeah, just went straight into marketing and went from there, and the rest just snowballed.
Man, that's so incredible. Can you tell us a little more about the initial growth period and what sort of challenges you were seeing as the business was changing?
Looking back at them, that was only 6 years ago, right? So it's only a short period, and now I've got, a 2,000 square meter warehouse, I've got like 40 employees, and that's across management, design, processing, fabrication, painting, installs. I'm doing projects in every state of the country now. So certainly had like a huge growth over that 5 6 year period. It's been awesome. Like it's really really good to see. It just sort of started with me, just sort of going, oh, like this is what I sort of like, because obviously going from one industry to another, I was kind of a bit lost what I wanted to do. I love steel fab, love the architectural work. I did learn a lot of lessons in the fitness industry and hospitality, around marketing and things like that as well. So just integrating the two worlds together really worked in my favor. I had this thing that I did for marketing. You're on the road all day, as a tradesman. So every time I drive past the building site, I had this rule that I would do, that I would always stop on the side of the road and send the builder a message on Instagram. Say, hey, this is what I do. Make it a bit personalized. Like, I just drove past your site at so and so. And that's how I generated work, working for small residential builders. And then that's basically grown now into like a way more professional service of working for what we call as tier 1 and tier 2 builders in Australia, which are like the really large building organizations. So I left all that chaos in residential building and sort of moved up to commercial building, which is a lot more organized, easy to deal with. So that's probably the main transition. Like the other thing is doing consulting work now as well, which is pretty random. We do consulting work for architects, engineers. We assist them with their pre-designed packages as well, which I never thought that was a thing that I'd be able to do. Like, I was just like a guy in a shed who just sort of built a steel structure and loved doing steel work. And now I'm doing consulting work for, like these large architectural firms as sort of like a industry specialist.
What does a typical consulting engagement look like?
We give them advice on compliance, materials like feasibility, buildability, like access, just trade level knowledge so they can build their design packages as well. So yeah, it's just like that's another thing that the company sort of grew into is consulting work as well.
So, Nathan, can you share a little bit about how you built your team?
It takes a long time to go through staff and find the right guys, but I have been lucky. I've got a really good team around me. Like they're incredible. Like my operations manager today, Richie, he actually walked into the shed. He saw me on Instagram and just walked in, and this thing was tiny. I actually shared it with the mechanic. It was just a grease box. He actually walked in and said, "Hey, like, love what you're doing. I want to work for you." And I was like, "Yeah, sweet." And he was just a welder as well. So he's just been with me from the start, and he's just seen this awesome growth now. And now he's the operations manager. He's like really good. Like he's great in his job. He's like so informative. Like he reads all night, understands all the compliance and requirements, and he's great. And he's doing such a good job.
I love the fact that you and he were doers, and therefore as you delegate and ask for others to take on responsibility, they see the trust that you have in them, but just as importantly, how important the business is and the end result is to your reputation and so on. So hopefully they take that to heart and deliver for you. Yeah.
Now he's got a good role as operations manager. So you know, he's just like always treated the company as his own as well. Like every time we have conversations, I can tell, it's like, you kind of with some employees, you kind of get that you versus them mentality. And somewhat it is, right? Like you got to protect the company, they got to protect themselves. Like it makes sense. But like, he's always like on the company side, backs the company. Like every conversation we have, the company's at his heart. So he's definitely helped me a lot grow the business too.
As you were building all this momentum, what sort of new challenges were you facing?
I was at the right place at the right time because obviously I picked this niche with like, really high end architectural staircases. I was kind of I was sort of like the first one to sort of, not to market, but like the first one that was promoting or marketing and like really honing in on that niche. At the start, it was like really easy to just win work in residential building. It just ticked off right place, right time. But I guess from the biggest challenges, just competitors, they're all putting pressure on us in regards to pricing, just sort of like one of the reasons I pushed towards IFAB Direct. It's a bit of a crowded space now, so to speak, in residential building. There's a lot of companies trying to do the same. I was find sort of copying a lot of the stuff I do, which is, it is what it is, right? Competitors move into space and you just got to deal with it. Imitation is the finest form of flattery, I say, but yeah, it's probably the biggest thing. Like I once again, I can't speak for America, but like huge challenge in Australia is just finding staff. Look, we have a really small labor pool here and very, very high labor costs, incredibly high labor costs. So that makes it very, very difficult to find staff. So I've always had to find different ways to keep them here, keep them interested, apart from just throwing money. One way I did this was introduce 4-day work weeks into the company. So our company all does 4-day work weeks for all the tradesmen. So that's really, really good for staff retention. All management do 5 days, all the tradesmen do 4-day work weeks. So every weekend for them is a long weekend. I've had to outsource staff to the Philippines as well. So I've got 2 staff in the Philippines now. So I'm going to sort of continue to grow over there as well with primarily design work and estimating. So yeah, just to sort of recap, I'd say the biggest thing is probably just being like competition now and also staffing issues as well. Like, do you guys have those kind of issues in the States with finding good tradesmen, or are they in abundance?
Nathan, I don't know if you ever heard of a gent here in the States named Mike Rowe.
Oh yeah, Dirty Jobs, of course. Yeah, I know my bro. Yeah, yeah.
He has a foundation called Micro Works. It's kind of a play on words, but his focus is trades, and it's really a scholarship for trades. And what's my point? My point is understanding the level of knowledge that you have from just doing, just quite literally building, and therefore how that leads well into the consulting side of things, because it's one thing to just fabricate something, but then if you don't have that experience, you realize, the way I welded that subassembly, I have no access to put it together on site, once I transport it there or something like that. It was this example. So that's fantastic that you're bringing that experience to the table and just being able to educate people and help. It's the, I'm not going to get the stats right, but again, having listened to multiple podcasts from that gent, Mike Rowe, with his foundation, it's hundreds of thousands of job openings that exist in the trades and they're just not being filled. And, so then it's kind of the doomsday is coming, right? When the people just graduate or retire out of that, the knowledge isn't being passed along and so on. But the same token, I just spoke with a 17-year-old yesterday that's an electrician's apprentice. So it warms my heart that, he's
Yeah,
going that
and
route.
I get that like doomsday feeling as well. Like, and Brisbane's actually hosting the Olympics soon as well. It's in like 8 years. So there's just this massive amount of infrastructure that needs to be built in Brisbane. And they announced it. And I'm just like, we can't even house enough people here. And you're like, I'm just like, who's going to build all that shit?
Yeah. Well, that's a problem for another day.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, staffing's tough. It is tough. So got to get creative.
All right. So IFAB Steel certainly has a fantastic origin story. Can you tell us what factors led to the vision of IFAB Direct?
The company kept growing and the overheads are just getting bigger and bigger, and you get all this more staff and bigger sheds and more equipment. You kind of just start pricing yourself out of that residential market, so to speak. You're just too expensive, right? You just cost too much. So, new competitors entering the market and just trying to find ways to just stay competitive and come up with something a little bit more creative. So I really love time efficiency and automation and workflows, and residential building is just this slow, clunky process. Like for instance, like just after our call last week when we briefly caught up, like with IFAB Direct, I don't do any site visits, site measures. I put that onus back on the builder to provide us all the dimensions, but I agreed to just do a site measure for this one client. They're like, I just need help, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll go down and say good day. And I went down the coast and, it took me an hour and a half in traffic getting down there and 2 hours in traffic getting back. And I'm just like, this is why I don't do this anymore. Like if I apply those hours to something else, I'm going to be way more productive. Like it's just a waste of time. So it's like all these processes collectively stacked together. I just find it slow and unnecessary. I always look at it, I'm like doing sales visits, site measures, like estimating, drafting, all these different things. It just takes ages and it's really slow, clunky process. And it always like seems to bother me. Like most of the time it just seems like a massive waste of time and money. And like with IFAB Direct, I've eliminated all those things. So like using a platform like kBridge and like all of my automation and putting a lot of the onus back on the builder for it. Like I've got all automated shop drawings, everything's automated. So like I don't have to do drafting, I don't have to do estimating, I don't have to do site measures, don't have to do site visits, I don't have to do any of this stuff. And by eliminating that, cheaper product and get it out a lot quicker. So I can do it at volume by doing that way. That's basically what I did it. Yeah.
Well, it does seem like 3D visualization is really at the core of all this. So was that always part of the plan?
Yeah. Well, in regards to the configurators themselves, IFAB Direct, I actually got the idea from IKEA, believe it or not, when I was buying laundry cabinets years ago. I was just like, this is like the coolest thing ever. I walk in, I design something in 15 minutes, I put it all in my ute or my pickup, as you call it. I drive home and I had, you know what I mean? I was like, this is sick. And I was like, I could do this with a staircase pretty easy. So I kind of just like, that's what sort of made me want to go down that path. So yeah.
Yep. Impressive. I'm curious, did you design the productized staircases, the ones that would be put through automation, so that they could be put through automation? Does my question make sense?
Yeah. So I've designed them all myself. So my products are all designed by me and just by like challenges that I've seen people having with them. So I built like all parametric models on Autodesk Inventor. So basically just have a whole set of parameters. So it's still a custom product. It's not like something that comes in a box. It's still a custom product, so to speak. But so I can have higher margins because it is customized. But like I can change anything in the staircase, and then from that model, all of my automated shop drawings just built from that. So like when it comes to designing something, it's basically just getting all the information back from builder, punching in all the numbers. Then you have a full working 3D model, full design process and shop drawings to go with it. And that travels down to like nesting and programming the machines and everything to cut it all out. I got rid of all these unnecessary steps with IFAB Direct and then created products and then kept all like the projects for like IFAB Steel in commercial building where things are like way more organized and, with like laid out timelines. And there's other benefits to it like, as well with products, like cash flow, selling products, it's a cash positive business model. So you're getting all this money up front and paying all your bills at the end of the month. Like cash flow is always a problem in your construction work, whereas IFAB Steel, you huge amounts of capital is needed to do the larger projects and stuff like that. So like IFAB Direct's a lot easier to run and manage if the process is done correctly. Because if you're just sending products out of volume and there's issues, you're obviously going to have a lot of problems. So getting that dial in.
Did you have any big technology hurdles with the implementation?
Well, to be honest, I haven't really had much technology issues. Like IFAB Direct still, it's still a bit early days for it. It's only a startup. So, like it hasn't been too hard. Like I have quite a lot of experience with Autodesk manufacturing suite and Inventor specifically. So I'm able to build all the parametric models and write all the logic and iLogic for them to make them do what I want to do. I've got all the resources in place from IFAB Steel already, More of my technology issues are probably with IFAB Steel, to be honest, and like sort of, trying to implement different things. To give you an idea, like I've been trying to implement augmented reality into IFAB Steel for quite some time as part of our manufacturing process, but I'm having a bit of trouble with that. Like the technology is just not there yet, so to speak. Like the concept is cool, but the technology is just not good enough. So, like to give you a bit of insight, we can project holograms of the staircases onto the workshop floor at a 1-to-1 scale. So we can project a large hologram onto the shop floor and actually build the stairs to match holograms. Or other than that, we can actually overlay a hologram onto one of our feature staircases for quality assurance as well. Because when you're doing like complex curves and shapes and like ovoids and things like this, it's really hard to put that information on a piece of paper. So like I've got the idea of actually projecting a hologram over it, locking it onto it, and then you can actually QA it, like, overlay the two to see how it works. And also from a sales perspective, I can also project a hologram into a person's staircase void and show them what their product looks like. But probably getting a little bit off topic here, but yeah, that's probably like one of the biggest challenges I've had with technology. Yeah.
It makes sense what you're describing. I had starting with your last use case around projecting into a hollow spot to show the customer what it will look like when completed. Hadn't even considered the QA part of using augmented reality. That's impressive. Yeah, yeah. That's great use. I've always pictured it as the magic window, through your device.
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard giving it like a seasoned old tradie augmented reality headset as well. God, you want to try this? And it's like, I'm not trying that. It's like, oh man. So some of the guys like really want to really want to lean into it and have a go at it. And others are just like, the stubborn old guys in the corner. It's like, I'm not doing that. The back in my day kind of guys. You're like, oh yeah. Yeah.
So how did you go about evaluating the technology that you were going to use?
Probably the worst guy to ask about evaluating tech. I've got like a bad habit of just jumping in and doing stuff.
All right, fair enough.
But with IFAB Direct, definitely not, right? Because the whole business model is essentially built around like, and the marketing, the promotion, like the creativity of the company, and is sort of based around 3D configurators and pushing that. So like definitely in regards to technology stuff for like laser cleaners and all this kind of stuff, that's all stuff I just sort of like love to jump into and market and stuff. But as for kBridge itself, definitely like I went through a lot of forecasting and stuff to make sure everything worked well. In regards to using kBridge, so to speak, the thing that drew me to you guys was basically the expertise in the field and just like being able to have like proper conversations with people that actually understand what I want to do and what I want to achieve and actually how to do it essentially. Like you guys are obviously pros in this stuff. Like I did reach out to another company. I tried to go to a developer directly in India as well. Definitely really did struggle with this. It's just the technical conversations that you need to have, parameters, like compliance, like all these things that take time and care. Like I'd spend hours doing a revision on something they built for me and I'd send it back. And it's just like, I'm just like, why you didn't do any of this stuff? Why didn't you do this? I sort of went down one path and realized how difficult it was going to be. And then I came across kBridge, which definitely helped me a lot. And the other thing was obviously that drew me to kBridge was your experience in Autodesk. Like obviously I said all my experiences with Autodesk and the manufacturing suite. So like you guys had a lot of experience with Autodesk and that integration from like a computer software, which is what you guys build, to my post configurator workflow, so to speak. Like, cause that's like, like to build that is great and it's awesome. Like you can pump out quotes and everything, but it's like when you get that information, you get the sale, then what do you do with that? Like, how do you streamline after that? So it was that ability to take that model and integrate it with my workflow after that was like, yeah, this is the right company for me. And that's why I kind of went with kBridge.
It's interesting because when Holland and I talked about the potential of showcasing what you have done and IFAB Direct, that the use case on which we were considering focusing was self-service and really e-commerce, with kBridge kind of enabling that, hence through WooCommerce and your website and a configurator that, a builder could go and actually utilize and play with, so to speak, and ultimately do your work for you, ideally. But the other use case is exactly what you described, and that's the upstream data and models and configuration parameters you're going to get that you can then push down into all that automation work in Inventor to do all the manufacturing elements, all the way down to the CNC G codes and whatever else you're using. Yeah, that's I love it. I get all fired up about this stuff. That's good stuff. Yeah. Kind of chicken the egg sort of thing. Had you already have your Inventor models and some of that automation built prior to kBridge?
Yeah, I'd say that 50%. Like I had the 3D models built with the parameters that I knew that I wanted. But like you don't have all the answers at the start, right? It's kind of like I'd never done it before. So like kind of, me, I was speaking before about like just sort of jumping into things to get it done. I didn't really that's how I meant. It's just like, I kind of, you run all your numbers for sales. I knew it would work. I just didn't really know how to do it properly. Like you have a bit of an idea, right? But best way to do it is just to start and get it underway.
Yep. Yeah. Trial by fire, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. So it's I feel like that's probably one of the, like, I'm not going to speak for kBridge, probably one of the easier parts, and building all the models and so forth, and like it's all the work for the products and making sure they're right. Like to be fair, when I was working with your team to do that integration into WooCommerce, didn't really seem to have that much. Like it seemed like it was quite one of the easier parts of the process, I guess, to get over the line, so to speak. So I didn't really have too much issues with it whatsoever.
Really great to hear. I was just super impressed from the very beginning because my previous experience long ago dealing with WordPress sites and dealing with WooCommerce specifically, and then seeing the first demo of IFAB Direct and seeing this 3D visualization configurator tied to e-commerce just really turned on a lot of light bulbs.
Mate, 100%. So like with anything in regards to technology, whether it's like whatever, 3D scanners, laser cleaners, augmented reality, 3D configurators, I always, and so I jump into it, like I buy these things with not really, sort of having 3D configurators is a different one, but having like a return on investment, is that they make the best marketing tools, like promoting and posting things on social media, like configurators and all this kind of stuff. It's really, really good promotion and marketing. Makes people talk and speak. Like if I'd post a video of a laser cleaner, it'll get like 100,000 views, and it's just like not even doing anything, right? So it's like always just getting eyeballs. So using the configurators for that purpose, because no one in Australia has done it. Like apart from, like, there's a couple around, obviously, like don't get me wrong, but like, no one's, like, with the integration of the cart, a lot of them are just used as calculators or quoting tools. But with the e-commerce side, I've yet to see someone in Australia that actually done. Definitely not in my field. I'm sure might be a couple that haven't seen in other fields. So that really sparked a lot of interest at the start. Like some of my social media posts are getting like, one of them got like 1.5 million views on it now. So it's just driving people to the site. The other thing is the quoting tool. So, like instead of just getting, absolutely bombarded every day with like, oh, how much does this cost? Like, it's like people are going on, punching in some simple dimensions, downloading formal quotes, and this is like these are formal quotes, like obviously directed to their building company, which obviously automatically populates from kBridge with, with quantities on the, like a mini BOM on their quotes. Awesome stuff. This costs a lot of money to pay someone to handle all these inquiries and punch out quotes. So like just seeing, like when I log in and actually see all the quotes being generated as well, like I kind of like just go, that's $100, $100, $100. I've saved money. Like I just kind of look at it like that. So that's really good. But then, like you can get us like, and then again, like it's driving people to the site, people downloading a quote, they're coming back to us, just saying, hey, like, this is a little bit more customized. Can you help us do it? And I'm just at the start, I'm just like locking the sales in. I just want to get the sales through, get the products out, promotion, marketing, and then like a little bit later, I'll be a bit more stern. I'm just like, no, you just got to go through the configurator now. But at the start, I'm just like, whatever it takes to get that sale. If I just got to do it in the background, I'm just doing it, pushing the products out.
Sure. That's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. Again, sound like a broken record, just being in awe of how these things start. And
yeah, it's great. Like, honestly, it's been really good. I'm very surprised how many people have been buying it. I think I sold about 30 of those helical stairs in the first couple months after launching them, which is just insane. Like, I was surprised at that. And, and the other thing is I'm pre-selling. So, like, if you go to your last minute builders, like, yeah, I need one straight away. Like, I promote them on 4-week lead times, which is a huge, plus when people are buying it, because the residential building industry is so chaotic and a lot of stuff's just done on the fly. Not from the builder's fault. It's just usually the trades that just kind of throw everything into chaos. Like they're really unorganized. So they're always like last minute. I just need it. I need it. I need it. So, I've been pre-selling them as well, which is great. So like builders that are a little bit more organized saying, oh, hey, yeah, I'm going to go with you, but I'm not starting for 4 months. I've got stacks of pre-sales as well, which is awesome. So once I start rolling into that, and it should take off quite well.
yeah, never bad to have a pipeline like that, backlog, and yeah, that's all positive stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And these are like deposits paid yet, but we're not starting for 4 or 5 months. So it's really good. Once again, that cash positive, like business model, it's great, like it's so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congratulations on the success to this point. And it sounds like trajectory upward here. That's great.
But it's actually been really good. I've sold a lot of products since launching. It's been a bit easier for me because I've got to obviously have a big social media base through IFAB Steel. The profit margins are really good. I don't want to go to numbers, but when you start to hit volume, it's really, really good. I just sold 8 cantilever staircases this morning, which is my new product. I'm just launched. We're just finishing the configurator now. So I've just had 8 of them come through from one builder for some sort of townhouses, or I think what you might call condos. One thing I've found, I probably found the hardest thing with pricing, like switching from really high-end projects to more lower cost products, is like the pricing structure. It's kind of really difficult to get right. With IFAB Steel, when you're working in some of the homes you're working are over $100 million and, really, really high-end finishes, and it's like price is actually one of the least important things, when they're actually trying to, align with a company that they want to work with. But with IFAB Direct selling products, price is very important. Even a few $100s can make a bit of a difference. And then trying to find, when you're selling a product nationally, everyone has different little pockets and zip codes or postcodes that they live in. So sometimes it can be difficult to get pricing right, but I think I've done pretty well with it. The products are definitely rolling out the door. Some, we sell a few through the configurators, sell them direct as well. But either way, people are loving the products and they're rolling out the doors pretty well. So I'm very, very happy with it. I've got a bot essentially doing way better formal proposals than my competitors can do. It's awesome to see. It's great. It just saves, we all know how much an estimator costs to hire to deal with all these conversations back and forwards. So it saves a lot of money. But just with the automation, it's easier to hit volume with less people. IFAB Steel requires project managers, estimators, the 3D designers, very good 3D designers, all this huge amount of resources. Whereas IFAB Direct, so the products, it's kind of all the heavy lifting's done, like configurator, parameter, automated design, automatically programming machines, good processes. It's sort of it just rolls through. Yeah, I look at the analytics for the site. I look at people using the configurators. And there's a lot of people in the site every day, and I can see which configurators they're using. So they're definitely popular. They're working, mate. Like, it's driving people to my site. It's getting eyeballs, getting people talking about the company and a new, creative concept, and that's what I like. So that's what drives people to your company. And any company that can implement something like that, is obviously not a sort of a backyard sort of operation. Like, that having something like that on your website that's powerful like that, sort of shows people that you know what you're doing and know what you're talking about, and you're an expert in that field, so to speak.
Well described. There's a subtle competence that exists there from your capabilities, which is going to instill confidence in people and differentiate. It's you have a level of sophistication that others don't.
That's right.
Yeah, it's an AI agent of sorts.
Yeah.
So Nathan, what would you say is your biggest challenge at the moment?
My probably biggest challenge is having a newborn baby at the moment, to be honest, and trying to find like work-life balance. That's probably my biggest challenge in business at the moment. So trying to grow 2 companies at the same time and also trying to be at home, the family and all that. That's probably the hardest part.
So no eureka, no silver bullet for you there in terms of.
Yeah, I was hoping you guys might be able to throw me some advice there, but
You don't strike me as someone, Nathan, who sits still well. So I think you're a busy guy, and love the fact that you started where you started, and even diverged to the healthcare and food and beverage or whatever for a bit, but took what you learned there and have just funneled it into your existing fabrication. You'll figure the baby thing out too.
nah, it's all good. It's easy as. It's good.
Looking forward, are there any major milestones or goals you've identified for the future of IFAB Direct?
From IFAB Direct, nothing really. I guess like switching to products. Something I always wanted to do was try and get into robotics. It doesn't fit IFAB Steel at all, just because the complexity and how custom the projects are. But like with IFAB Direct, it'd be awesome to sort of like, I kind of want to grow into like a manufacturing powerhouse, like heaps of new products, just like heaps of automation. I'd love to have like a lot of the products are very similar, so I feel like I could start to use robotics for them if it's possible. That'd be the main thing. And I don't know if I want a robot replicating what my guys do every day. I'd hate to see my robot walk outside and have a cigarette in the alleyway.
Good stuff.
But other than that, I'm just want to see how it goes. My goal is to start selling products in the States very soon. Obviously, as you guys are aware, that it's a much bigger market over there than this little tiny island I live in. It's a big island, but yeah, it's pretty much uninhabited, unfortunately. So yeah, I guess that's probably the biggest thing is like, yeah, just growing it into like, big manufacturing company and pushing it to Sydney, Melbourne, and then into America if it goes that far, which I'm sure it will.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's not too far away there. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.